Upsets, upsets, upsets. Day 9 of Roland Garros is finished. It's concluded. And I tell you what, the bottom half of the men's draw is wide open. We're going to get into it. Before we do, though, of course, remember to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. If you're looking for a Novak Djokovic versus Rafael Nadal preview, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you my prediction quick fire and kind of give you a very quick preview of it. But if you want the more detailed version, there is a breakdown of that. It's a preview on the channel. Go check out that video. It probably will be of interest to you. It's more detailed, a breakdown of the clash between the two GOATs in that quarterfinal affair, which of course is being much talked about, as it should be. We're going to get through the results, though, before we do as well. If you're a podcast listener or watching, remember to leave a rating or review. Okay, Marin Cilic rolling back the years against Daniil Medvedev. Now, I did get it wrong, and I said Daniil Medvedev would lose to Kecmanovic in the previous round. He didn't, but then he lost in the fourth round here to Cilic in straight sets as well, nonetheless. And I just had a feeling he wouldn't go deep. He hadn't played a lot of tennis before this as well. And, since that Australian Open final. And I just had a feeling that the lack of clay match practice that he would have really hoped for coming into it wouldn't have helped his cause. Also, he's not a massive fan of the clay anyway. We all know that. But I think generally, it just as the tournament wore on, I just thought he was going to get found out at some point, and he did. And you can see a Cilic in the end just doing really well. Look at that 90% win percentage behind his first serve, which is ridiculous and probably a big indicator of how Medvedev was returning, i.e. not particularly well, but a good serving day for Cilic. Even though the first serve percentage is below the 60% mark, the win percentage is really good behind first and second serve as well. So really good from Marin Cilic. And as I said, definitely rolling back the years, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on in the quarterfinals, no doubt. Andrei Rublev had a very interesting affair as well with Jannik Sinner. The tie looked like he was heating up after Jannik Sinner took the first set as a breadstick. Second set, he lost it 6-4. Rublev took it 6-4. He was 2-love up in the third set, and Sinner retired. Now, he retired previously, I think it was in Rome or Madrid, with blisters. And this is kind of a similar thing, although it was his knee. Now, he'd been treated for it previously in the tournament. So it's clearly something that was bothering him. Wishing him a full and speedy recovery. I just hope that it's nothing to do with, it's like the going gets tough and then he thinks, oh, you know what, I want an out. Some players, unfortunately, especially when they were younger, have done it. And then as they've gotten older, they matured better and they've realized, no, okay, look, I can fight till the end. I would assume and I'll suggest that Sinner is just injured and that's why he's done it rather than the latter. But yeah, not great considering that, there was a big opportunity after taking the first set as well. I actually picked Sinner to beat Rublev, but if he's not fully fit, there's no way he's going to be able to do it. And in the end, Rublev going through, and he will face, a pretty more comfortable, I guess, quarterfinal, but we'll go through that later on. Holger Rune as well, causing another upset, beating Stefanos Tsitsipas in 4 sets. I mean, the young Danish player is a real talent. We saw him perform quite well before this tournament in Munich, and obviously winning that tournament. And then here, look at this. I mean, 7-5, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. Unbelievable from Holger Rune. And sorry, it wasn't Munich, it was Estra, wasn't it, I think? So, look, I mean, he's a really good talent, Holger Rune, and I guess the reason why we haven't talked about him as much is because of Carlos Alcaraz, and I get that. But we shouldn't sleep on him, especially given that he beat Shapovalov in the first round. And since then, he's just gone on a really good run. And beating Tsitsipas is no mean feat. The number 4 seed, top 5 player. And Tsitsipas said after that he was disappointed. He thought that he just had to play better. And he didn't. Holger Rune, though, really holding his own, and it's interesting to see how far he can go. He's made his first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal. Could it be a little bit of a fairy tale story for him in the draw? And I guess that would be reminiscent of like a Raducanu last year, although he wasn't a qualifier. But still, especially on the men's side, given how often it is we see the top maybe 4 or 5 players in the quarters. There's massive shake-up for sure. Rude beating her catch in 4 sets. Good win for the Norwegian. He makes his first ever quarterfinal of a Grand Slam. And then if we look at the women's side, Swiatek had to really dig deep against Zheng. She was 5-3 up in that first set. Zheng recovered to take her to a tiebreak. And then Swiatek was actually 5-2 up in the tiebreaker as well and lost at 7-5. Really good mental resilience from Zheng to take the first set. The second set, she got bageled. Third set, 6-2 to Swiatek. So I think it's worth noting as well, she did have an injury, Zheng, after the first set. And it clearly hindered her. It was her back, so she was struggling to serve as potently and maybe move as well as she'd like. That obviously played a massive part, as you can tell, given the scoreline. It was really shaping up to be a great match, so it's a big shame that happened. But Swiatek is just imperious, and it's going to be interesting now, given she's had that. I'm assuming she'll be thinking, okay, that was a close one. I now need to regroup and really, make sure that I'm tuned in and dialed in for every match and every point, like she has been prior to this round. But a really, really impressive performance from the 19-year-old from China. Hopefully we see more of her this year because she's been a great surprise package to the WTA Tour. Pegula beating Begu in 3 sets. Good win for Pegula in the end. Kudermetova beating Madison Keys, an upset for me in 3 sets. And Kasatkina beating Georgie in straight sets, which I'm not sure if I predicted that. I think I actually predicted Georgie, to be fair. Right, so then if we look at the men's singles tomorrow, of course, we've got the big dogs, Zverev versus Alcaraz. I'm going to go Alcaraz for that one. I think even though it's the head-to-head's 1-1, given what happened in Madrid, and just given how Alcaraz is playing in consideration, how averagely, in my opinion, Zverev is playing, I think Alcaraz has his number big time. I would be very surprised if Zverev even takes a set off him. I think he needs to serve extremely well against Alcaraz. It could be a 4 or 5 setter, no doubt, especially if Alcaraz isn't playing his best tennis. If Alcaraz plays well for 3 sets, Zverev has no chance. That's how I see it. Unless somehow Zverev completely, kind of adapts his game before this match and says, okay, I'm going to be more offensive like I was at the back end of 2021, where he had a lot of success, and say, okay, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually commit to the forehand rather than just pushing it back into court. Similarly with the returns and then with the serve hitting a spot. So we'll see. We'll see if he's able to do it. If he can, and if he can bring his A game, he can definitely cause problems for Alcaraz. But for me, Alcaraz wins that in straight sets. Djokovic, Nadal, of course, got a bit of a vested interest as I'm a bit of a Nadal fan. But I think Djokovic will win in 4 sets. That's my prediction. I just think that Djokovic is coming into this fresher, given he hasn't lost a single set, also in better form, given the recent clay court form before the tournament. And in addition to that, just the fact that he won and beat Nadal last year, that will be on Nadal's mind. He seems to be one of the only players at Roland Garros who actually has a chance of beating Nadal. And I reckon he'll do it again. But we'll see. We'll see. On the women's side, tomorrow we've got Trevisan versus Fernandez. For me, Fernandez will win that, make the semi-finals. I'm looking forward to seeing how she does as well. Really great to see her rekindling that US Open form. And Coco Gauff against Sloane Stephens, an all-American affair. I want to go Coco Gauff, but Sloane Stephens has been very steady, played some really good tennis. In terms of actually my player of the day as well, it has to be Holger Rune. I think there's no doubt about that. I know you could say, well, okay, maybe Cilic, but as I said, Medvedev was a bit cold, given how he came into the tournament. But the fact that Holger Rune beat Stefanos Tsitsipas, who'd he'd won Monte Carlo, he'd made the final of Barcelona. No, not final. He made the quarterfinals of Barcelona, made the semi-finals of Madrid, and in Rome, he also unfortunately, made the final, got beaten by Djokovic comfortably, but it's a pretty good damn run. So I think the fact that Holger Rune beat him Really, really impressive. He's my player of the day. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. I will see you on the next video.